Star of Jolinet, an excerpt. The Wetzel fluttered in front of the weasel's face and it snarled, lunging at her. The wolf and weasel let out a cry that was answered by a pack. Buffy flew to the shaking door, the wolf and weasels rushing after her. The door crashed open and Dragon's head appeared as the flying ferret blinked out of sight, reappearing on Jarby's shoulder. The dragon plunged into the hall and slid into the weasels. Jarby snickered to himself as fur and scales flew. Still holding the sword, he ran lightly upstairs after the others. He could hear the chittering of the Night Stalker rats. Jarby grinned. Hopefully they would all eat each other. The thought cheered him greatly. Gradually Jarby slowed down, panting. His calves ached. The staircase seemed to wind upward and around forever. He was aware now of the stinging splinters in his face, hands, and arms and the throbbing of his bitten flank. At last he came to the top of the stairs. There was no door. He was trapped. Jarby pulled his sword. Tarek. Where are the others? He asked the sword. Look up, stupid. Jarby saw the trapdoor above him and grinned. He knocked on the door with the hilt of his sword, ignoring Tarek's complaints. The trapdoor swung upward and a trio of concerned faces gazed down at Jarby. Zula and Scamper dropped a rope ladder. Jarby climbed up the swing ladder, crawled under the floor, and collapsed. The girls pulled up the ladder and slammed the trapdoor shut, then threw the bolt and latched it securely. Jarby gazed into a tall, circular ceiling set with large bells. They were in the bell tower. The ropes had been removed from the bells and carefully coiled on the floor. Poke leaned over Jarby and clucked sympathetically while Buffy scolded. You're a mess, Jarby. Poke shook his head. Scamper pushed Poke aside and inspected Jarby from all sides, then spoke briefly with Zula. Zula pulled a sharp bone needle from her belonging, and Scamper pulled out her stinging ointment. Bend over and drop your breeches, Scamper commanded. Jarby held his hands up. Oh no, I'm fine, really. Night Stalker bites can turn septic and you could get the locking jaw or the foamy mouth disease. It is lucky I have this and Zula has some tribal medicine she can use, or we would have to use a hot iron to cauterize the rope. Zula has lots of experience removing splinters. Don't be a baby. Jarby sighed and turned around. This was going to hurt. Let Poke do it and you girls turn your backs. Giggles from Poke answered him. Scamper looked exasperated. Don't be so shy. I promise we won't look. I may have to stitch you and Jarby isn't experienced. Besides, he's too busy laughing to have a steady hand. Jarby glared over his shoulder at the boy rolling around on the floor holding his stomach. I'll get even with you, Erasmus Tate, Jarby said. Poke controlled himself with an effort and pulled a flask of his jerkin. He handed it to Jarby. Here, I found this. I think it's the priest's sacred liquor. Scamper intercepted the bottle and sniffed critically at its contents. Whew! She tasted a little and made a face. Just a minute, I've been saving this. She rummaged through the supplies and brought out a flask. She mixed the liquor into it. Mocha, she explained, you know this raw type of chocolate also kills pain? It should be potent, mixed with that stuff and a few of these herbs. You won't feel a thing, hero. Jarby drank the mixture and on an empty stomach it hit him like a dragon's breath. In a short time, he found himself face down on the floor with Zuli holding his head in her lap. The blue-skinned girl dug splinters from his face while Scamper cleaned his wounds. Despite the liquor, Jarby hissed through his clenched teeth. He grabbed his sword hilt with one hand and heard it chortling. Straker, someday when I melt you down for a flower vase. The ointment stung like bees, and Zula fed Jarby more liquor until the tower spun and went mercifully dark. Jarby woke feeling like the whole Dumb-Blood army had marched through his mouth. A gypsy drum was pounding in his skull while blood vats did a dance in his stomach. The girls were sleeping while Poke stood watch. It was quiet except for the occasional distant squall of a Night Stalker rat. Jarby took the water and journey cake Poke offered, hoping it would calm things down. The pain was gone and numbness had taken its place. His haunch felt strange. While Poke gazed out the tower window, Jarby decided to inspect his wound. Scamper must have stitched it. Jarby peered around at his backside. Something was funny there. Scamper carried a metal mirror in her belongings. Jarby pulled it out of her knapsack and held it where he could see his damaged cheek. He cursed softly at the reflection. A row of blue flowers was tattooed over the closed wound. What am I going to tell Yana? Poke giggled and Jarby glared at him. What did those girls do to me and why did you let them do it? Zula's healing magic. She insisted on it. Some kind of witch doctor's mark, like a magical bandage, I guess. It's a wizard mark, protects you from evil spirits and spells. Jarby groaned. Yaneth is going to kill me and it won't protect me from that. Jarby pulled the sword. A lot of good you did, letting those girls mark my butt. Hey, some people would pay a lot for a warding spell like that. It protects you from diseases and minor evils. That girl is worth her weight in gold. I bet the tribe wants her back, especially the witch doctor. Jarby sighed. Another wanted woman. That's just wonderful. 2 of our party with a reward on them. Actually, all of you have prices on your heads. I'm not the only one who wants that Tate brat dead, and the Dunbloods want all the Argus killed. Jarvie rolled his eyes. Why me?